shoulder joint. This is not the joint, this is the humerus. And the humerus joints into the scapula sideways. You see how this is kind of flat up here. Here's the round of the joint. That's where it joints into the scapula. I brought one just in case you wanted to see. So if you look here, you see there's a lot of space between the top. This is not a joint. That's soft tissue in there. Ligaments, muscles, tendons, oh, it's very complex in there. In fact, a lot of people get very troublesome injuries by not embodying the fact that this joints into the scapula, not into the top of your shoulder. So it's critical information. And here it is on the left hand arm. Here's the joint, and here would be the cup of the scapula. So it's a shallow cup, it's a shallow joint, makes it very articulable, as our arms are, arms and hands, and not quite as stable, which is why there's so many injuries. Okay, this humerus comes down, and at its joints here with the ulna, which comes down here on the small finger side of your hand, the small finger side of your hand, which means the more, actually more articulable. Do this with me. So if you go like this and you want to wave these fingers, for example, well, try waving those. You see how perhaps they are the ones that are, you're going to grab, the stability is going to come from here, but the articulation is going to come from there. You don't have to believe that. That's something to explore. All right, so that, interestingly, is the radius, which is the larger of the two bones in your arm, and it's wider at the base. And it relates, the radius, the one, I may have said this wrong just a second ago. I think I did. The radius is the one that relates to the stability. I said the wrong thing. The radius relates to the stability. It's our next bone, the ulna. I can't believe this, how difficult it is to think and do this and embody and look at these on the screen and look at here. This is terrible, but I can do it. All right, so we've got this bone and we've got this bone. Now, the ulna is the big bone, you see it, of your elbow. And it's gnarly, thick, and strong up at the top at your elbow, and it is much more articulable down at your wrist. Radius strong, weight bearing. Ulna, I gotta figure out how to bear my weight and what to reach for. Articulation, all right? Last week we looked at this, but we're going to look at it again. The radius and the ulna, in order to turn your arm for articulation. If you think that your arms are the vehicles of not only reaching for what you want, but drawing it back into you, the arms are the vehicle for, maybe you feel this, the vehicle for showing your caring and your love and drawing in and organs of your heart in that way, right? So this articulation here is part of what gives us that ability to have the beautiful spirals, the Michelangelo's hand of God. Look at it again a few times. Michelangelo knew it has such grace and beauty. Now, if stuff's frozen here, that's tough. Because if it's frozen here, it creates a block in your ability to fully express and or draw in. So that's my experience. It may not be your experience, but that's been my experience, is that this movement that we can find in the wrists is an aspect of consciousness that can be touched here. All right, so long story short, as we said last week, these two bones need to spiral around one another. Not one. It is not the radius that turns around and then, okay, now I can flatten my hand. Because you know what? I actually can't. But it is the dual rotation, which is where the radius can spin, literally spin on the humerus above. So there's this, do you see this space there? There's a little cup, ball and socket joint, tiny little cup here in the top of the radius, and a tiny little, not so tiny, very obvious, here it is, cup and knob. So if we were to turn mostly with one or the other, we might go something like that and get stuck. What has to happen to finish a turn, turning from palm up to palm down, which involves your weight bearing, placing weight on your hands, what has to happen is this baby, the radius, has to spin at the top. You see it spin along its axis. You see that? And this one down here, the ulna, had to also spin along its axis down here at the ulnar disc, and then they go together, and you end up with even support, whereas if the ulna doesn't come around, you have a lack of ulna support. Lack of articulability, lack of connection with the hand of God. You've all seen it 100 times. How does it? There's that amazing cupping. So it's a reach and an offering. All right? So these bones have both support function and they have the articulability. So if you go with me like this, like you're saying no. Remember we used to do these no exercises. Some of you remember. You say no. You push something away from you. You say no. Adamance, my friends. You gotta mean it. So it's not no. No, I really don't want this. I'm thinking about not wanting this. I'm thinking about it. This is when I say absolutely freaking no. Now the strength of that, the weight of that, if you needed to do something with it, is through this middle finger, pointing finger, thumb hand, and it is the radius which is wide there. All right? Now, take your palms up and take one hand over to the wrist of that hand and come up. You'll feel their bones here on the two sides, and just come up, and there's a membrane, the membrane of fascia, very tough because it needs to be strong, between the two bones, and just go down it. So I'm doing a little bit of a, I feel tender points in there. You can go right to the edge of one of the bones and then go into the soft tissue. You'll find the inner edges of the two bones here in this position. So this membrane here gets caught, and if it gets caught, it inhibits this rotation. So that's one of the things that you want to look for. Now, as you get up here, you're going to get to where the radius turns. I got my finger on the radius turning, spinning. My elbow, my ulna, is spinning around as well, but my ulna is spinning down at the lower portion. And the bones, as you can see, are designed, they're spirals, they are designed for this movement. And the critical part is that they need to move individually as well as together. Otherwise, we're doing it from the shoulders. If you do it from the shoulders, that joint is not designed to bear your weight, by the way. That joint is designed to take your weight into your core body, not to bear it because it's not strong enough. It can't do it. You have to hold your weight ultimately through your core. So this articulation in the lower arm helps us not to be straining in the shoulders, doing stuff with the shoulders they're not supposed to do, but we can stay stable. Shoulder blades on the back. Arm bone cupped right into the side of the shoulder blade. Support in the front too. Pectoralis, all of that. Now when you go like this, I'm doing more than I thought I would do, which is usually what I do. So here we go, keep going. So if you go like this, and you take your hands and go, like when we sponge, you go, Now listen to me. When you do that, when you go forward, let the muscle underneath your scapula on your back pulse onto your back ribs. Let it pulse onto it. And then when you do that, stay there once. You feel the strength in the muscles underneath your shoulder blades. Heather, did you actually have a question, or did that hand just inadvertently pop up there?
Sorry, that's just my computer.
Oh, it's your computer.
So it's freezing.
Okay. All right. So here we go, and we're going to look at this. So last week we were strapping the arms right above the elbows. If you want to look back, that's really, really good for stabilizing up here so that these lower bones can begin to take the movement instead of bringing it into the shoulder. Key. This goes into your core. This is like I'm hoping for my chest to do it. No. This being able to say no. Being able to hold yourself on hands and knees. Being able to support yourself. The articulability of function. But support precedes action. So if we start playing around with all this articulation and we don't have the support, we'll eventually hurt our shoulders. That's why some huge percentage of people over 55 have shoulder injuries. It's like a huge percentage. I haven't looked lately, but I remember from before. Okay, so come on and grab a block to sit on. We're going to come into a downward dog. Ramon, I don't know if you're sitting on the floor. I'm not sure where you are with your knee recovery. But what you could do is you can do it from standing onto a chair, right? Okay, it'll be the same movement that we're going to do here, or even better onto a table, or the top of a chair, because a table you can push into better. Do it on a table edge if you have one available. Okay, so here we go. And again, we did this exact same movement last week. And it was the palms up. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to place my hands into hands and knees. I'm going to come a little closer so you can really see my arms better. I suppose that's close enough. Okay, so I'm here and I'm just going to wait. And as I wait, simple, I'm coming to hands and knees, I'm going to bear weight in my arms. When I bear weight in my arms, I am not letting the weight bearing stop in my arms or my shoulders. It's going all the way to my back abdominal core. So what does that mean? That means you have to have stability there now. Multi-layered, the whole thing. The weave comes together as we learn the pieces. All right, so I'm palms up, and I'm looking for, there's the stability of my pelvic floor up through the back abdominal wall. Now from here, firming shoulder blades on the back, I'm going to begin by a reach. And as I reach, I'm going to begin to spin my arms and my hands downward. The reaching brings space into the joints of your wrist. It's a reach. That means you're going through yourself with energy. You're not just positioning. This doesn't change anything. It's just positioning. But if I reach, it changes everything. Please play with that a moment before we go. So it's you come up, you're stable, turn around, you stay stable, but then there's the mind of reach, and the prana flow is directionally through all of the bones and the muscles at the most primal level, the embryological spirals of prana. We're enlisting them. All right, so stable, spinning all the way around so that the ball of your thumb is coming even with the floor as you push and come forward and up, placing your hands. Now, lean over your hands a little bit, bend your elbows, but don't take your elbows way out to the sides. You're not taking this whole thing up into the thoracic region. Actually keep the ball of your pointing finger and thumb as if it's going to move into the earth slightly and turn it. This will keep your elbow from going out to the side. You turn it outward slightly. Then find the full weight of your hands and then go to the center body and yield down. You're going to have to bend your elbows. Yield down and push diagonally down and away into the earth. Now straight down, you'll compress your wrists. Diagonally down and away into the earth. Full ball of hand, best you can. You can turn the hand out a little bit. You want the energy to flow, the force to flow through your wrists, down and into the earth through your hands, and then begin to bring your hips back into an extended child's pose. And as you do, keep your hands right where they are and drag your hips back. Reach your tail away, and maybe you have to slide your hands further forward because you want to plant them like starfish on the ocean there. Starfish, you want to plant them. They're not going to move, but when you drag your tail back, you create space in the wrists. Firm your upper arms into the body. That means into the shoulder blade, and the shoulder blade on your back. Listen to me. Articulate the front chest, the pectoralis, pulsing it. Use all of that as support as you inhale and come back up to hands and knees. Let your elbows bend as you come through so that you can spin in any way that feels appropriate here. Inhale, turn your toes under. Now you're coming into downward dog, but you've got to get the weight moving first. Don't just swing into downward dog. Get the weight going down and away diagonally into the earth, and then lift your hips up. Push the earth away. So there's something of a no in that. No, I'm not going to stay down there. Push the earth away. Reach your tail up. And in downward dog, see if you can still have at least most of those supports. If you don't, it's just information. It's information. Wow, something's off on my right scapula on my back, or something like that, you know? And then you can take your awareness there and you can go, okay, so it's the right scapula for me. So I want to, oh, that's so much better. Pulse from my right hand, open hand, up through the scapula onto my back. You can do that if you're not sure where you have lack of stability. You can do the palm of the hand to the scapula on one side, palm of the hand to the scapula on the other side, palms of both hands, scapula sucking onto the ribs, and inhale, come all the way down again, place your forelegs and sit back, or come into simple standing if you're using the table. for those of you who have difficulty getting that articulation through the hand, you would be helped by going to a table or placing your hands on blocks. All right, let your palms rest up. Feel for the spaces and the connectivity. Now this time when you come around, you're going to spin right through the center of your wrist, right through those bones, and you're going to bring the strength aspect at the wrist into these first three fingers: thumb, pointer, middle finger. So as you spin now, articulate that and begin to take the strength and reach your hand forward from there. There's a reach, and then there's stable. I hope this isn't confusing. I hope you didn't laugh at me for saying I hope this isn't confusing. Oh well.